Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 473. 473. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'll be your temporary, um, I'll be your host and temporary chairman for tonight until chairman shows up. Of course, I need to give you a heads up. Tonight being Wednesday would have been Mr. Roody Wade's chairing the program. He's not available to us today, so we have one of our other senior colleagues, uh, Mr. Gregory Brackett, who asked to step in on his behalf. And so he will be our regular chairman for the night, but until he shows up, I'll be a temporary chairman. And so, as we normally do on our program, we'll give a short prayer, followed by a short reading, and then we get into the program proper. I'll just bow my head to invoke the prayerfulness. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, into thy hands we commend ourselves, asking that thou would continue to accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to you for giving us first and foremost life, and secondly for granting us the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people, and its leadership. Thou knowest the trials and tribulations and treacheries and all manner of things that are happening to our country, even by those who are our leaders. Please touch their hearts and let them do right by our people, loving Father. We pray that thou must bless this country also, its people and its leadership. Please bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in earthquakes, as in the case of uh, Colombia and other parts of the world. We pray that thou must bless those who are in tornadoes, those who are in hurricanes, those who are in typhoons, um, those who are in war zones, who are being hurt or killed or deprived of their lives and liberty and limbs. We pray that thou mayest have mercy upon them as well, loving Father, and that those grant those who have need of food and clothes and shelter the opportunity to be relieved according to thy bountiful blessings. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for allowing us to indulge in our prayerfulness. Um, Let me see what book did I open up to. I opened up to the book of Amos. So I'm going to go ahead and read. I need to put on my reading assistant here. Just a second. I'll proceed to read Amos chapter 6, starting at verse 1. And it goes as follows. Woe to them that are eased in Zion and trust in the mountain of Samaria, which are named chief of the nations, to whom the houses of Israel came. Pass ye unto Calne and see, and from thence go ye to Hamath and greet, then go down to Gath of the Philistines. Be they better than those kingdoms, or those or their border greeters, than your borders? So that's our reading for tonight. And In the interest of timeliness, I'll proceed with the program for the night. Um, I have a temporary item here that I'd like to deal with until the chairman shows up. The designated chairman for the night shows up. So therefore, I'll just. Before I do that, I do need to ask your forbearance with me for another minute or so I could quickly uh, okay, let me explain what happens normally when those of you who watch our program regularly would notice that I get to this point and I ask for forbearance so I can connect up the other platforms so other people can get to hear our program. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and quite a few other locations. The issue is that I cannot add these other locations unless I go live first, unless I'm live on Facebook. So only after I get live on Facebook, when the program starts officially, then I get a few minutes to be able to go back and add those other entities. So that's basically what I'm asking you to, be patient with me in order for me to get done. Okay. So after explaining that, I hope that's enough, to allay the fears that we're not actually going to continue the program. I'm just in the middle of a transition period. I see someone in the background. It appears to be the chairman, the assigned chairman for the night. So I'll just give him enough time for him to do what he needs to do before he comes on. He can bring himself on. In the meantime, let me just go and try and connect these other locations. Thank you for your forbearance. Okay, okay, I'll be, I'll be with you in another couple, a few minutes. Okay. Um. So, uh, finish. Okay. I need to fill in. Gotta say, okay. Okay. So that's taken care of. Um. As I said earlier, just before I started making those connections, see the chairman in the background, off screen right now. I guess he's working on something of his preference. So I'll just um, take maybe a minute or two and just start what I was about to say. And then when he comes in, then I'll yield the program over to him for his formal program. Okay, quickly, let's see what I'm doing here. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay. I see the chairman is still busy in the background. So I'll go ahead and just say a few words in the meantime. Um, Today, I had the occasion to read an article which I'd like to um, present on this particular program, just a small part of it, and just to give. I see the chairman is available. Let me find the article and just yield because this program is a specific program. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad, welcoming you to this, our 473rd edition of Belizean Affair. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show is a very important one as I go ahead and break down the acquisition of SeedNet Smart by BTL. Mr. Brackett, I go to you for your first comment on the acquisition.
Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We've been down this road partially at some past point in time, dealing with the same issue of the BTL attempting to acquire Smart and some other assets. At that time, it was alleged that it would be about $190 million thereabout to acquire all the different assets that they wanted to acquire. And those assets was basically belonging to Mr. Ashcroft, the Prime Minister, and his family, uh, some of the chairman of BTL, Mr. Lizaraga, some of his family members owning some of the other assets, and other individuals. My personal perspective from back then until now still hasn't changed, and that is that these individuals whom I just listed or named and others have decided to do a highway robbery to jack up our public assets and appropriate them unto themselves in terms of trying to get these sales done of their original companies. That is, their companies, when it was fruitful and successful, they bleed everything that they could out of it, including the Prime Minister himself, after becoming elected, went ahead and took away some of the BTL contracts that the government had acquired because it's a government um, company for all intents and purposes, despite the fact that Mr. Lizaraga comes out in public and tells us or tries to intimate to us originally that as per his understanding and his perspective as the chairman, it was a private company that they were running as a private endeavor and that we, the public, had no rights to know anything that they were doing behind closed doors. The Prime Minister took away some of the BTL contracts. In other words, he took away all public assets from our public company, gave it to his private colleagues and friends, and then turned around now, after we said that we didn't want them to acquire those assets that they had, and we didn't have no interest in it, they turn around now and are trying to come back with the same shenanigan to get the same deal swing. First, they want to swing 80 million worth of it, and then they'll come back and get the other 110 million. And that is without any cost for legal expenses or any other cost that they may incur as a result of this onerous and undermining process. They steal the damn assets from us gave it to their company, and then now they want us to go and buy back those same assets because they decided that they don't want to run their company anymore because they are not prepared to put any new money into their company to overhaul and enhance their company. And we are going to have new competitors coming into the field that will be much more sophisticated and give better service for cheaper. So they were with their back to the wall, and they decided that they did not want to continue their company. So they want to cash out, not by selling their company to some other private individual, but for them to dip into our public assets, pay off themselves, and then turn around and use our money that they would pay themselves with to probably go and get into business again with the other new people that's coming in with the new technology. So they're taking us all for a bunch of idiots, right, left, and center, over and over and over. And the bad part is that is the very person that we have at the head of our government right now in Belize as Prime Minister is the jackal that is actually entertaining these nonsense, because without his support and without his pressuring those people that he appointed to be the board, that kind of nonsense wouldn't be happening. Then they are not taking it to cabinet as to pretend that, well, it is not he, the Prime Minister, that has set this process in motion and has been whipping up all the support that is required or necessary for them to try and pull off this deal. He is now talking about, oh, well, when they have this meeting in the cabinet now, next Tuesday, he doesn't need to be there. Of course he doesn't need to be there. He already set it in motion. So whatever the other members of cabinet come up with, which, as far as I could see, only some of them are inclined to accept the premise that the property belongs to the public and the public should not be dispossessed of our properties like they did in the last UP administration, which is why they had gotten kicked out. Now the Prime Minister is at a point where he may not want to contest for another election. So he don't give a damn about what happens or who says what or who doesn't agree or disagree with him. He wants to be paid out. And Mr. Ashcroft wants to be paid out as well. And the Prime Minister brother and the other is the chairman, Mr. Bacon, the Zaraga family, who own the other internet assets, they want to be paid out too. But they're not going and taking their property and trying to sell it on the open market to any other private individuals. They want to come and cash out from our resources. As far as I'm concerned, that's a crime against our government system or society. The Constitution says they're not supposed to be indulging in self-enrichment and or taking onto themselves the assets of the country. And this gentleman is trying to do that by sitting at the power of our government and pretending that there is no constitution, even when the Constitution says that he's not supposed to do that. Under Section 121 of the Constitution, as well as the preamble of the Constitution, says that the assets of the country should be shared out in such a way as to not have any one person, corner those assets and don't share with the rest of the society. That everybody should be given a fair shot at being able to succeed and survive in our country. But I yield back, Mr. Chairman. I think I went a little too long with that first introduction. I'm a little hot under my collar, and
Thank you,
I yield
Mr.
back, sir. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. People at home and abroad, we know we are having this detailed SpeedNet saga where the government is bent on detailed acquisition of smart. Now we know that this would have ended up in the cabinet. So I want to dissect tonight what was done and how they are trying to pass this. Because here in Belizean affairs, I always say they tell on themselves. And if you listen to these individuals, it's not hard to catch them in the misrepresentation of speech they are using to try to get by the Belizean people. Let me go to the first here because I want you, the people at home and abroad, to hear what the CEO of BTL had to say about the cabinet.
I think cabinet has quite a bit of concerns as to the questions, especially the misinformation that has been circulating in the media and by certain people, and we corrected those. We repeated that we're in the process of we're in a continuing process. The board basically decided that what we had seen so far merited continuing due diligence, and we're on that path. We're still, a ways to go. We still have to land with our own due diligence. We still need to get feedback from the PUC about some of the concerns which we are addressing about competition through MVNOs, on other means of assuring the public that their concerns about increasing costs or BTL taking advantage of them are unfounded, and that there are mechanisms in place that will address those concerns. So I think it was just about giving our side of the story as to what we're willing to do. BTL has agreed to is it 3 years, CEO, policies on rates?
Until December 31st, 2028.
Okay, there you go. And subsequent to that, we have agreed that we have to justify any changes in prices. We're hoping, of course, and we can even say that part of the considerations are that because of the efficiencies that will be gained from a market consolidation, would allow for even a decrease in rates.
He's outrightly lying, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. People at home and abroad, the misinformation that is going around and that has been spread to cabinet, there is no misinformation. The Telecommunication Act specifies and set forth how companies should be licensed and run in Belize. The Telecommunication Act gives the PUC as a regulator the power to regulate for competition, and within that act it specifies that a licensed company cannot take over another licensed company because the act and the law from the regulation is
Prohibits.
based on competition. Mr. Brackett, I go to you before I start to dissect it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for another opportunity to contribute in this discussion. This gentleman, Mr. Lizaraga, that you just showed on the piece of tape that you played, is outrightly and deliberately lying to the public and to anybody else that is hearing his voice. First and foremost, there is the PUC that has its rules and regulations, some of which bars what this gentleman was saying, and that he was intimating that they are going to try and address or try to assist with, as if they were not supposed to have done all those things before they came to the public. They should have done their due diligence, which is now what he's promising to do. If he had not done a due diligence before, and it's not only now after being pressured by cabinet and the public and the information that we out here in the public have available to us and are complaining about, they would have gone ahead had not Ms. Chanja Nisbet refused to participate in their first meeting to vote in favor of that acquisition. After Ms. Chandra Nisbet was changed and they got a new person in her place, they went ahead and they had another meeting to go ahead and do exactly what they wanted to do when Ms. Chandra refused to accept their bogus undertaking. The undertaking was for them to pretend that we, the public, who are the owners of those shares, and to whom this gentleman has a fiduciary responsibility. He doesn't have a fiduciary responsibility to the chair, to the person that appointed him, which is the Prime Minister, for him to take our asset and give it to the Prime Minister's bodies. That's not a fiduciary responsibility. That's a scampish and a treacherous act. That's outright stealing, especially if you're going to steal public assets. He deserves to be in jail instead of being out here talking craziness that people are giving wrong information to cabinet, and it's only because cabinet is so concerned now that he's backing down. He got his ass pressured for him to back down. He got shown that he was actually a malignant operator. He got proven to have been a malignant operator because what he was saying is not what he's currently trying to say. He can't have it both ways. He can't pretend that what he was trying to do, that we objected to as a people and country, that now he's ceding some grounds to accept the premise that it's a public entity and that they need to operate those that company in the best interest of the public and not in the best interest of the Prime Minister and his family and friends, despite the fact that he appointed them. They have a legal, lawful, fiduciary responsibility to operate that company in the public's best interest, not to be trying to steal no resources from it and pretend that because it's a private endeavor, according to him, or at least by his perspective, that they would have had the right to have their meeting behind closed doors and dispossess the country of its asset. They did that in the last period of time that they were in government. They took the printers, they took the port, they took they took all the assets of the country and sold it off to other private individuals or kept for themselves. They started back again in this next cycle when they became elected again, doing the very same thing. And as far as I could see, they have no intentions of changing. That's who and what they are about. Scampishness, stealing, misappropriating. Look at all the different government departments right now that we have problems with that still needs to be dealt with. We have actually dozens of different crises that this present administration is pulling the people through and causing the people harm on. That gentleman was just talking craziness because he thinks that people don't know or understand, and that whatever he's saying has to be accepted on face value. When in fact the pieces that he's trying to put out there in public, supposedly he was doing it correctly. Even if he was doing it or had done it correctly, they would still be in violation of the Constitution, in violation of the PUC, and in violation of good governance, and, as well as professional ethics and morals. They cannot just steal from us with our eyes wide open and on a public issue like this. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. As I said, people at home and abroad, I want to break down this BTL smart seednet acquisition. And tonight I want to prove to you what is happening with the government, BTL, and the owners. Let me go to the second tier.
We've just
reassured cabinet that this process is a process that took place. We've received 3 independent valuations so far on the company. Management did its own valuation, More Belize did its valuation, and the Brazilian company did its valuation. And the system that we're looking at right now as we continue with our due diligence process is that when we have control of the company, we are going to have another independent professional
That's
accounting
after
firm.
the purchase is made.
Yeah, to confirm, yes, to confirm that what. Let me finish.
Not after.
During
the process.
The existing due diligence we're starting.
That what the seller is saying is true.
Mr. Chairman, the man is an idiot of the first order. Okay? Because as the chairman of the board of our company, he should do his due diligence before he acquires the company. He shouldn't be trying to lie to us and then hope that he won't get to acquire those assets. And then after acquiring them, then try to figure out whether or not he got a good deal. He's buying puss in a bag, like we would say back home. And then he's trying to turn around after Mr. Ashcroft is paid out and the other people are paid out for him then to go and figure out whether or not he got money for value for money. Who is that he's talking to? Is he that dotish or stupid? Or you think that
Mr. Brackett,
go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I have a problem with the evaluation. How could you have an outside company from Brazil come to Belize and do an evaluation and no disclosure have been given to the Belizean people? 2, how can you have Morehouse do an evaluation and you guys are keeping these evaluations secretly, not to the public? 3,
and he said that he did one. They did one. And they're going to do
how can you
after the fact.
do an in-house evaluation and comes up with your bright idea that all the evaluation is good? If it is that good, why do you need the support from Social Security Board to acquire the company? If your evaluation is that good and you have
They refuse to
enough
give
shares and finance, you shouldn't be going to SSB to help them in the purchase of Smart SpeedNet. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. He can't or should not be going to Social Security for no additional funds or, okay, Social Security is actually part of the, they have a member on the board, right? Because they contributed a substantial amount, I think it's 38% to this company. And Social Security money is public money. All of the employees of the country who pay Social Security funds and whose funds are being invested now, well, not only now, but before, had been invested in BTL. What he wants to do is, he claimed that the Brazilian company or whatever, some sort of American company, did a survey, did an analysis for them. That company is one of their preferred companies that they go to when issues come up. I'm not disputing the qualification of the company. I'm disputing the fact that it's a preferred company that they go to try and cover their butt when they want to commit malfeasance against us. Okay? We have had that in the past as a matter of record today. So it's not like I'm trying to invent something out of the blue. He said that they did an in-house assessment. He says that they had the other company, local company, that did an assessment for them. And he's still not able to produce none of those assessments to the public. We own the damn assets. He has no power and authority to dispose of our assets without our consent or acquiescence, or at least being properly informed. Those shares belongs to us. Doesn't belong to Mr. Briceño. Yes, Mr. Briceño and his family will collect according to them, but they are political appointees. They have a fiduciary responsibility, a legal and lawful responsibility. And if violated, they need to go to jail for. But they're spinning around in circles and trying to tell people a whole lot of nonsense that doesn't add up, such as they're going to wait until they acquire the company, and then after then, they're going to decide whether or not, or figure out with the information that they get, whether or not having done proper due diligence, at that point, then they will figure out whether or not they had gotten money, value for their money. At that time, you have already acquired the asset. If you acquire the asset and you realize that you have acquired an asset that didn't value the money that you pay for, you have to go and sue them to try and get it back. Not only that, which of them on that board is going to put their own assets up as collateral to go and sue Mr. Ashcroft to get back that money from Mr. Ashcroft? Or to go and sue the Prime Minister to try and get back money from his family? They're on that board as lackeys. They were put there for that purpose, to destroy BTL, to run BTL in the ground so that Smart, which is why they took away the BTL contracts and gave it to Smart, so that Smart would have been the company that the Prime Minister's family and Mr. Ashcroft was in business together. They would succeed and BTL would fail. But they realized they didn't want to compete with Elon Musk or any other company that will bring in higher technology and cheaper technology and provide better service for less money to the public. They decided that they want to sell off their stuff, not to Elon Musk, because Musk wouldn't have bought none junk from them, or no other Belizean or no other people that's seeing what's going on in the internet today. The technology has surpassed what BTL is offering, and BTL will become, in another few years, will become defunct. So why buy stuff that we don't need? First, they were telling us that they wanted to buy the Smart company because they will get equipments that they were going to be able to. They already told us that they had redundancy in the system and in the equipment. But initially, when they were telling us that they wanted to buy the equipment from Smart, is to put it in the hinterlands, in the villages and the districts, so that they can get additional reach. When it was proven to them by those of us who did the analysis and spoke to the matter, from, as best we could without all the details that we needed, but we were substantive enough in terms of our factual premise, they got embarrassed. And they turn around and say, well, they weren't buying it as they were originally saying for the assets, for the equipments and whatever.
But
they were buying it to try and buy back the same very people
there is an issue,
that they had stolen from us.
There is an issue, though, Mr. Brackett,
go right ahead, Mr.
that
Chairman,
we should not leave out. And we here on Belizean Affairs have been stipulating it for years, for months, for years. I believe that this was a tripwire to pay Mr. Ashcroft off again. I will tell you why. It is my belief that if it is true that the Briceño family had sold their share to Ashcroft, and we are in this stage where a voting has happened, hypothetically speaking, that is like to say, well, the deal has gone through. We don't know it because we haven't seen the signed documents. But if that has happened behind closed door, and the public and the private sectors and the senators and NGOs place enough pressure on the government that they have to back off, you know what will happen? Exactly what we have spoke about on Belizean affair. Mr. Ashcroft will sue Belize again over BTL agenda,
and get
and
some more money out of our hide.
Belizeans will end up with a price tag just as before. So that is my belief, and it's a strong belief to me that maybe more than what they are saying has happened. Let me go to a tape to hear the minister.
That's why, Mr. Chairman, that's why I say that the man they need to go to jail. You know,
It's what I believe is called legalized conspiracy. And I will show a proof of what I'm speaking about when I say legalized conspiracy. But first, let me go to the tape to hear the CEO of PUC.
I think they made a very comprehensive presentation, but we're still waiting some additional information before a final decision is made.
So are you satisfied with the presentation today?
We had three separate presentations. I think they were all of them were good, but like I said, we're still waiting for additional information.
Do you hold to your initial position that this is not a monopoly being created? You had said that initially.
I said that in reference to the data. As you know, the current system is also providing for what they call MCNOs, and so that would also deal with the monopoly in terms of telecommunications.
We understand that next week the cabinet will need to make a decision next week Tuesday. Are you prepared to make your decision?
Hopefully by the time Tuesday comes around, we'll have enough information on which a decision could be made.
Would you be able to disclose to us what is lacking?
No, not at this time. I think they made a very comprehensive presentation, but we're still waiting.
People at home and abroad, I always say here and Belizean affair, we don't just speak from what we have noticed or what we have in mind. We show these tapes to show you exactly what is happening, the conversation these ministers and government elected ministers have. You heard what Mr. Shibat said. And I will replay the tape. I want to say good night to you, Mr. Morrison. Have me
Good night,
excuse people at home and abroad. Mr. Morrison, can you announce yourself, please?
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here with you, and good evening to our audience across the breadth of this whole big world, Belize and the diaspora. So it's always a pleasure being here with you. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Morrison, can you raise your mic a little bit? You're kind of low. Can you say something?
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
That is excellent, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Mr. Morrison, I was in the presence of showing a tape. In fact, I did with the Minister of PUC, Minister Shibat, and I wanted to show the people at home and abroad how these ministers of government get together also with the CEO of BTL, and they have in-house conversation. But little do they know that when they speak and these tapes that are broadcast, anyone who follows them will catch them in what they are speaking about. I call it personally legalized conspiracy.
Mr.
People
Chairman?
at home
Oh,
and
sorry.
abroad, hold on, Mr. Brackett.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to replay this tape and I will stop it exactly to a certain word the minister will use. Please listen to the tape carefully because you will hear the phrase 3 times tonight. Let's go to the tape.
I think they made a very comprehensive presentation, but we're still waiting some additional information before a final decision is made.
So are you satisfied with the presentation today?
We had three separate presentations. I think they were all of them were good, but like I said, we're still waiting for additional information.
Do you hold to your initial position that this is not a monopoly being created? You had said that initially.
I said that in reference to the data. As you know, the current system is also providing for what they call MCNOs, and so that would also deal with.
I stopped the tape there. The word is not MCNOs. The word is MVNOs. People at home and abroad, I want you to remember the word. He says the system, he's talking about the law, provides for what is called an MCNO. In reality, it is not C, it's MVNO. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Uh, it is unfortunate, I would say. Let me try and be as kind as I can. It is unfortunate that people are given ministries to run who have no knowledge about what the ministry responsibilities and or issues are entailed. I think that's about the nicest way I can put it, other than to say that the gentleman didn't know what the hell he was talking about and was hoping that at some point in time in the future, he will be able to learn enough to be able to have a final decision in terms of whether or not what's going on right now is onerous, right, or wrong. The bottom line, though, is that he has already committed himself, and the Prime Minister has already repeated what he said, and other people are repeating what he had already committed himself to do, which was to write a bogus statutory instrument, SI, to be able to facilitate this crime being committed under the color of law. So as to say that they would even go to the House to review and revise the laws in order to facilitate the stealing of public assets. This gentleman should know enough, but does not appear to know enough to realize that he could have given a much better answer to the reporters who are actually trying to inform the public. He's going to wait until he goes to the next cabinet meeting between now and then for him to be able to figure out, after all this haranguing and haranguing on this issue for so many months now, that he is still unaware or incapable of addressing the issue. He cannot be exculpated for falling on his sword, because at the end of the day, it's not him that is going to get hurt with the sword that he's going to fall on. He's not going to fall on the sword, on the point of the sword. He's going to fall on the sword while the sword is sideways. But we are the ones that's going to get damaged as a result of their negligence.
You are correct, Mr. Brackett. I ask you guys and people at home and abroad to remember the word. He called it MCNO. I am telling you what the word is, MVNO, because you will hear it 2 more times. I go to you, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Brackett. You know, I'm thinking that we are so strapped with what's going on. I'm hoping that as we do all these modification of our laws and making these people more accountable, that we find a way that that when it is a public company, as the DTL is, that there's a way that the public can recall these individuals board members. They need to structure that within the laws of these specific boards that are statutory boards, or boards that are appointed, that these individuals are appointed by the prime minister or by the cabinet, that there's a way that the public can exercise their democratic right and the ability to exercise control over these individuals when they are acting in manners that is inconsistent with the wishes of the public.
And the
That
law.
and the law, most definitely. But particularly, I don't care so much on the law issue of it. I want the public to have the ability. The law will deal with legal issues, but I want the public to have the capacity to recall these individuals, because we're seeing so much corruption and so much that is inconsistent with the wishes of the public and the shareholders, and these guys are acting as though they were granted some divine power by the prime minister and God that allows them to do whatever the hell they want with total disregards to the interests and the welfare of the public, because it is the public that's going to get hurt in this. Johnny Brisinger is going to walk away with millions of dollars. Ashcroft is going to walk away with millions of dollars, and the people will be left on their handle with a BTL that is $100 million without any capability of furthering its program and its development needs. We don't need to purchase the the the, the list of subscribers from from Smart. We don't. BTL doesn't need that. When Smart stop performing, when Smart fails to meet its customer obligation, those people will move over to BTL, and we don't have to pay for them. So they're selling us and they're presenting us a bogus plan that has no asset, absolutely no asset. Whatever they have is redundant to what BTL has, and so it is not going to help BTL in any of it. In fact, whatever they have is obsolete, and it's not going to help BTL in any of meeting its customer needs. So that is the highway robbery that they're doing to the shareholders of BTL, the Social Security Board, which is investing the public money, and these people or citizens or workers will need this money in time to meet their responsibility and obligations when they reach retirement age. So that is my concern about all this, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
The money is not going to be there when they need it, because
But
the money is going to be taken up by the people who are suing this deal
Yeah,
at so many millions per year for the next
yeah,
4.5 years.
yeah.
Okay,
but
so there's going to be no money for any
let me
shareholders.
say this though, Mr. Brackett, because what Mr. Morrison is saying is right, and we find out, and anyone can see, they are looking to hit Social Security Board twice to
Hmm.
buy shares in Fortress and to sponsor this BTL takeover.
Hmm.
And I want to say this: the same deal that they place in Fortress that they could have had in couple years for
Yes,
nothing is
yes,
what they are trying to do, to put money in the private part of those companies' pocket.
yes,
And
And they
I
just
have
put $72 million,
continuously,
Mr. Chairman. They just, what, last week or week before?
yes, Mr.
They had an
Brackett,
extra
I
72
think it
million.
was
It's not
77.
this.
Was it
Yeah, but
right?
77?
these guys are taking us to the cleaners right, left, and center. They are
That
raping
is
in the bottom of the
why
barrel.
that is why I am saying The people of Belize must put their feet down and place into laws that when you are elected as a politician and you are doing 5 years term, you cannot sign no contracts over 5 years, because what they're doing is enriching themselves when they do this ludicrous contracts for 25 and 30 years, like in license to ministers sons for 30 years, other contracts for 25 years. It makes no sense at all.
Mr. Chairman, that logging license initially is for the first 30 years, with the preferred renewal of another 30 years beyond that, which means it goes to 60 years as a minimum.
Right,
Yeah?
Mr. Brackett?
And they are not going to extract those lumber because they don't have no equipment and company that will do that. They got that contract so that they can turn around and sell it to somebody else and collect a few $1 million off the head of the Belizean people, while somebody else is going
Okay,
to come in
Mr.
and extract
Brackett.
the lumber.
Gentlemen and people at home
Jeez.
and abroad, remember the word? He said MCNO. I am telling you what the word is. MVNO. Let's go to the tape. I want you guys and people at home and abroad to listen carefully to what the CEO of BTL has to say using the exact word the Minister of PUC said.
We're not going to be a monopoly. Because the law provides for what they call an MVNO. Help me out here, MCO. But MVNO basically means you, Paul, want to open a telephone service for company Paul. You can come to BTL. You will use our network because we have capacity. And Paul brand could be one brand out there using our backbone. You could come up with your own telephone company. Anybody could do it.
Controlled by your
you.
system.
Yeah, not controlled. The services are provided by our national infrastructure, right? So that's a one. Two, we have the reality is now most people communicate with data. Most of the communication are data. So we have other data companies all over the country.
It's a
Gentlemen
bamboozler.
and people at home and abroad, you heard the word
He's a
MVNO.
he's
It's
a
not
bamboozler and a liar.
MCNO. No, everybody knows that Minister Shabat is an attorney, so he should know the word. But I
He's just doing
want
his
to go
homework.
back to the CEO of BTL. Let me tell you what the word means. It's mobile virtual network operator. He says the law provides for that. I am going to say it right here, live on Belizean Affair. There is nothing in the Telecommunication Act that says MVNO. Anybody all over the world, including Belize, can look up in Belize Telecommunication Act and you will find there is no such word as MVNO in it. Because let me tell you what that stands, what it means. This is why he's trying to say it is not a monopoly. MVNO or small time retailers. So what he's trying to say, once they take over SpeedNet, anybody can go to them. There is the dominant company now. And
Monopoly.
you could open a business as a retailer. But this is the issue.
And you can't
If
undersell
you
them.
are a retailer and you have, say, 500 clients and you can't pay, guess what will happen to you? They can pull the plug because they stands at the helm. But I'm
Monopoly.
not worrying about that. The part I'm worrying about is they are trying to come up with something new to fool the people of Belize by stipulating that MVNO is in the law. I will say it again. There is no such word in the Telecommunication Act. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As I said earlier, the gentleman appears not to know what his department entails. He's a smart individual. I mean, you have to be smart enough to at least qualify as a lawyer. Okay. So I'm not taking anything away from the gentleman. I'm saying he's uninformed. He's ignorant of the facts. He's making statements to sound credible as the minister responsible for that department that they are going to go around and solve the issue because they know and have means by which to resolve those issues. He's depending. Let's say, for example, Mr. What's his name too? Mr. Bacon man, Mr. Lizaraga. Uh-huh. He is there making statements and having to turn to his CEO and the other people in his department right there on the camera to ask them for the information for him to be able to spit out. When in fact he's supposed to come to the public to answer questions and tell the public those things, not based on what he has to ask the other people, but he should have known enough of that to be able to converse on those issues. He's the CEO. He's getting the biggest part of the money out of all the salaries them in the company for that specific purpose. He shouldn't come to the public and lie to the public and then go back and try to undo the lie by telling another lie. And then when he get caught and being shown, then he has to come up and say things that he doesn't understand, and they have to ask the other CEO and the other people for the information. The least he could do is be honest and upfront in the first instance and to say that the company is a public company, not is a private company, so they can hide behind their closed doors to commit a crime against the society by stealing our assets. That was their agenda initially. They got caught and they got jacked up and realized that they couldn't get away with that, so they turned around and present a different facade. But at the end of the day, it's the same objective they're after, which is to cash out. They could turn around BTL, which is ours. They don't have to buy that asset from Smart. Smart can sell to anybody that they want. As a matter of fact, when the BTL clients was taken and given to Smart, they were getting, I think the last article I read was like $6.4 million worth of assets out of the government that the government should have been able to keep for itself. So now we have to turn around and buy that back from them. And you tell me that the Prime Minister wasn't aware of that? He claimed himself to be a businessman, and he was not aware that that's what he was authorizing and doing. The buck stops with him. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're
Mr.
welcome, sir.
Morrison, I go to you.
You know, some time ago, some years ago, a couple of years ago, Smart had owed the Treasury income tax.
$11 million.
Let me get my story out, sir. They had owed the Treasury some $10 million, $11 million, as Mr. Brackett pointed out, um, and we never learned of whether the payment was made or whether the money was forgiven or whether the money is still on the books, and then BTL will be liable for this money. There's so much hanky panky going on. There's so much corruption. There's so much deception. There's no full disclosure of what the assets and what the liability of smarts are that's presented to the people. I don't understand how this board can be making these decisions when it is in fact the public asset that is going to be utilized to make this purchase. And this will be a purchase that will be on the books in the name of the shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
These people, as board chairman and board members, are there for a limited period of time. The people will be saddled with this debt for the duration of this purchase. The consequences of this purchase is going to cause the continued effect for the entire life of this country and for the entire um, deprivement of the shareholders of BTL, which includes members of the public and probably a vast majority, since a portion of the government funds was invested in it. But in addition to that, the Social Security Board has shares in BTL. So there is some real issues that is concerning, and without the disclosure, I don't know on what basis they are making these purchase agreements. There's a failure here. There's a failure to come clean and to inform the public so that not just the cabinet can judge whether this is a good deal, but the public. And we have the inkling, we have the great understanding that this deal is not to the benefit of shareholders and the citizens. Yes, it will benefit the Briseño family. It will best benefit the Ashcroft um,
Alliance.
Corporation
Mm-hmm.
Alliance, and all these are not in any way helping the people. We are buying obsolete asset. This asset is redundant because the Elon Musk Starlink network is going to replace the infrastructure that we are attempting to purchase. The unions have expressed concern about when this purchase is made, how there will be layoffs within the ranks of
Mm-hmm.
BPL
Mm-hmm.
employees. So
To
there, there
accommodate.
so there are many concerns that have gone unanswered. There are many concerns about the structure of this company and how it will mesh with BTL, because we're getting assets that are redundant and duplicate and has no true value to a BTL, since they already have some assets in redundancy, and now to be buying these additional towers and stuff from 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 SpeedNet, that makes absolutely no sense. And then to be purchasing it at this exorbitant sum of money that we have not been able to find a way of confirming whether it is um, justified, whether there's asset to account for it. They have not provided so to the public and to other partners and shareholders how much asset they have and what liability they carry. We have come to learn that they own no buildings. They don't own any buildings. All the
Mm-hmm.
buildings that are part of the operation where they function out of are leased or owned by others and are not part of the transaction that would, so that what that tells you, to continue operation, BTL will need to lease these buildings from these owners who are probably the same members of the Briseño family or their colleagues or their cousins or whoever they are. So there are lots of issues that have not been vetted and have not been presented to the public in a clear and concise and transparent manner. And I just pray that somehow we don't push through with this, and that this government, for once, listen to the wishes and will of the people and cancel this deal. Cordell Hyde said it right. We were happy when the Prime Minister said we'll put it on pause. We will be more happy when this bill and this deal is cancelled completely. Let them go and find other buyers for this asset if it is so profitable, so worthy of having. I'm sure there are people out there rather than to saddle the public with this white
Well,
elephant.
Mr. Chairman, why are we going to buy, according to them now, the new paradigm is that we are buying cash flow. Who in their right mind, as a business person, will sell cash flow to anybody?
Yeah.
Let's go here.
Mr. Brackett,
I was going to explain what the cash flow
I
really.
understand,
Go
Mr.
ahead. Go ahead.
Brackett,
Go
but
ahead.
I don't want to go
Go
there
ahead. Okay. Okay.
because
I give up.
I don't want to change the subject.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No
Mr.
problem.
Morrison, you were perfectly right in what you said, but it is not a question about what is happening. Executive power has taken over Belize, and with executive power comes denial, or I don't know. What is happening in Belize is legalized conspiracy within government to defraud the Belizean people of Belizean assets. I said tonight I want to prove it. And here we go. You remember the word MVNO? People at home and abroad, and gentlemen, and people around the world, I want you to listen to the Prime Minister of Belize, who's always said on record he has no involvement.
What they did is that they did not necessarily vote in favor, but they voted that they should go and I'm trying to remember the exact word that they used, but pretty much gave the green light to be able to for their members to be able to proceed with approval at, at BTL. But as they made out the point, they said they can't decide for BTL; it's the board of directors that decide. Also, the Public Utilities Commission came in to be able also to explain to us the regulatory framework and to point out should this merger proceed, where under the Act it is covered, because it is covered under the Act. And they also pointed out to Cabinet that they passed an SI where oil prices have been frozen until December of 2028, because they said that then that would give them enough time to put the proper regulatory framework should there be a merger to have a better regulations to regulate the industry, just as what we do with BEL and also BWSL. Now the idea is now that we want to hear from everybody, so we have invited the NTUCB and the representative from NTUCB and from the chamber for them to come in. Hopefully they can come in on Thursday, and for us, and so we can hear their views as to why they believe that the merger is not in the best interest of Belize and by extension the taxpayers. The next step then would be then on Tuesday, then Cabinet will deliberate to see what they believe is, again, after getting all this information, for them to make an informed decision. I have informed Cabinet that on Tuesday, whenever that deliberation will start, I will step out of Cabinet. As you know, it's no secret that my brother is one of the founders of SpeedNet, and as such, I think it would not. I believe that it would not be proper for me to be in the office for the discussion. So pretty much that's what we are. So that's as much as I can say. So.
Look at the man, Mr. Chairman.
Home,
Look at the man face when he's talking.
people at home and abroad, you just heard the Prime Minister say that it was in the act, in the law, as
Lion.
the CEO said. I want to say this to anyone listening to this show,
Bamboozler.
kindly go look up the Belize Telecommunication Act and look up MVNO, and I will guarantee you it is nowhere inside the Telecommunication Act. In fact, Cabinet has passed no such law. The only thing they did just recently is to amend it for license. But the Prime Minister himself should know this. They should
He never
know
knew
it.
nothing. He never knew nothing, Mr. Chairman. You
You
forget?
have learned ministers with the government, the business senators, for them to get a national television and say that there's a law that MVNO is in the law,
Lied.
something has to be wrong. I go to you, Mr. Morrison.
You know, this is why I said that with regards to statutory bodies like the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, they have a obligation and a responsibility because our laws talks about monopoly and what it takes to to do it. You can't go after the fact and change it. So in our law, our constitution currently says that we should have competition within our telecommunication industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can change the law, but the you cannot change it in the manner that they're proposing to do it, agree to a merger, then go back and change the law. If they want to change the law, they need to change the law ahead of this merger. And so that is what I'm saying, that the things are going adrift. And this is the reason why we need to have this um, amendment to our constitution and to our laws, so that when the public see that these statutory bodies are not going in accordance with, like you pointed out, the law and, as I said, the wishes of the people, right? Then the people should have the capability of recalling these individuals from these boards, and the public should have the ability to recall the chairman of the BTL. And truly, if he has any decency, but these guys, they don't care about decency, they don't care about honesty, they care about what they can put in their pocket, what they can fit in their pocket. And we know why this is happening now. It seems to me that Ashcroft may have said to them, no political funding until you could get me my money out of BTL, out of get BTL to give me some money for Smart, which is now pretty much a potential losing company. We don't know what earnings and projected earnings Smart have for the next 5 years. We don't know. We don't know.
It can't be
And
good. It cannot be
they,
good.
they wouldn't be selling it. They wouldn't be selling it because, as you were saying, they were talking about cash flow. If the cash flow is there, why sell it? If this is a profitable business rolling in money year after year, and has the potential of making more money in the future, why sell it for 79 for 72 or 70 $79 million? Why sell it? You
Because they
can.
are fools or they think that we are the fools. One or the
Well,
other.
that is definitely the option that they're going with, option B. Here comes the fools. Here comes the Belizean public that we could saddle, and there'll be no consequences because they forget everything after a short time. Election is 2 years away or 3 years away,
Plus they
and
can do it. So it seems like it's all legal. As a matter of fact, with the head of Prime Minister as mover and shaker of making it happen. You know.
Yeah, and the prime minister tells you already when the deal is big, that's when he'll help his family. He's not going to help them when it's small change, $85,000, $113,000. That's not when. So we know why he's throwing his weight, and his pretense of excusing himself during this debate.
When the deal is already cooked.
You know, excusing himself is just ridiculous. But at least I'm glad there's one less yes vote that will be assured. And I am hoping that the
Uh,
service that these
oh,
ministers, let
sorry.
me finish, let me finish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Hoping that the presentation that some of these ministers had made, Curdell Hyde and Espat and Chabat and Musa and Usher and
There's at least between 4 and 5 of them
there was four.
that are
Yeah,
solid,
I'm
solidly.
counting seven, but I don't want to call their names yet.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that these
So we might have another G7.
I'm hoping that these ministers will stick to it and will in fact uphold the will and the wishes and provide justice for the people and not allow this steamroll of grabbing of our public resource that is so needed
A lot of
to
them are compromised, and they will, and so they will not stop the prime minister from getting his payout. You know, because
well,
everybody is well, not all, I would say I shouldn't say everybody. I'm saying a lot of them.
yeah. Well, I'm
And I know
hoping.
some of them, I know some of them by name, and I know exactly what they're what can be used against them in court if need be.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that this deal will not go through. I'm hoping that it is clear enough to these ministers that this is just a bailout and a saddling of the citizens and the shareholders with a debt that is unforgivable, and it will come back and haunt them. It will come back and be a disastrous play because this is going to live in infamy. This is going to stay on the books, and every PUP that minister that votes for this
They will be
is going
long
to
gone, Mr. Morrison. They will be long gone. We are the one that's going to suffer when the
well,
catastrophe
yeah,
befalls. You know, Mr. Chairman,
yeah,
may
thank you.
I have just a short comment that I would like to make quickly.
Go ahead, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
thank you very
Morrison.
much, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you very much again, to Mr. Morrison. Your points were well lucid and well taken, sir. In regards to cabinet, okay, everybody is banking on cabinet now, including myself. Remember the last time we spoke about this, I was saying I hope that at least in cabinet we have enough people that will get up and save us like the G7 did. I'm starting to waver now, but I want to get to the point that I asked the chairman to let me speak on. Mr. Shabat, on what he said on the tapes that you played earlier, and other tapes that have been, or other interviews that have been had, that have been following on other stations, you know, appear not to know his job, which is why my first comment that I made in regards to the tape that was played with him, I stipulated that I don't think the gentleman knows his job. Not that he's not competent in some other areas or he's not a smart man, because his own words betrays him by saying that he doesn't know certain things or that he's going to tackle certain things in a certain kind of way and he's going to create a science to back it up. You know, all these, the man and the fumble the ball. But the point is, if he, as the minister responsible for that department, and with those issues, okay, in terms of the PUC, who should have some muster in this game and should be able to block this thing and help us, the general public, regardless of what the board members say, even if they are out of line and operating illegally. PUC, if they were not the same as the status of the board members, then, which is to say they were appointed by the same gentleman, and they're compromised in the sense that he has already been indicating that he wants them to rule in a certain kind of way, which is why the ministers and discuss among themselves, and the PUC minister, they said that he can make statutory instrument to facilitate this process, to enable the process. They're all in cahoot. There's no other minister in the cabinet who should be more informed than Mr. Shebat. And if he's fumbling the ball the way he's doing right now, how the hell can we then expect that any of those less informed individuals who are being lied to right now by the people who are presenting a certain facade behind which to hide and to exculpate themselves, as well as to bamboozle the ministers then, because we are now depending on the ministers then to step to the plate on behalf of the public and represent the people that voted for them. How are they going to be in any position to be able to do the right thing if they are being misinformed at every step of the way? They don't have the information. BTL is refusing to provide whatever little information they said they had acquired from the company down south, or of their own, or of the other local company. They're not providing anything to anybody. All they're doing is trying to bamboozle their way through the process, stall for time, and force the process down with throat. So I'm starting to have second thoughts now in believing that maybe even the ministers then, as ill-informed as they would be, may not be in a position to be able to speak up or cast their vote with any level of information or commitment to look after the interests of the people in a way that would justify information that they don't have. Because they're not giving the information. We people out here are not giving no information. The operation is set up so that the less information comes out to the public, the easier the public is able to be bamboozled. And that's our problem. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
I just want to add something that's very important, and I kind of hinted at it a little bit, Mr. Chairman. If you give me a
Go ahead, sir.
You know, we are hinging on the cabinet, and we are also looking at the legal responsibility of the PUC. And we want to make sure that those members of the PUC act accordingly, because they have a legal and obligatory responsibility to the law and to the people to make sure that whatever decision they make is consistent with our constitution and is in the interest of the customers of BTL. And so I'm hoping that they will take their role and responsibility seriously, and that they will not just sign on to this because the person that appointed them is the person making this request of them. The Prime Minister keeps denying this, but you know, we have tapes from 10 years ago when the former Prime Minister told us exactly what situation we will be faced with that we are facing now.
The man predicted it just like a prophet. He was like a prophet in the wilderness.
Let me finish, Mr. Brackett. He said that they will huddle BTL. They can't sell it outright, but they'll do something that undermines BTL. Now we're seeing how they're doing it. They're selling them junk asset and stealing the resources of the people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Cash flow is the operative phrase. Cash flow,
you.
But against us, not in our favor.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. I want to say it to you, the people at home and abroad. Again, there is no law that exists in the Telecommunication Act that has a MVNO, and PUC cannot just create a MVNO license. They cannot use that as a bypass to acquire Smart Speed Net by BTL. I hope that you, the Belizean people, will take the time to look up the Telecommunication Act. I have posted on Facebook exactly what a MVNO is. And I want to say this. If any member of cabinet sits by and let this deal go through, they are responsible and can be charged under the enterprise law because cabinet has passed no such law, none whatsoever, and they know it. So that
I
is
want to
what
put,
I have to say.
I want to point out something because under our laws, ministers and cabinets are usually indemnified from official action. So we have to be a little careful how these people excuse themselves. It is illegal what they are planning to do if they do it. But I don't know that we could, unless we have something like UNCA to find them culpable for this type of behavior. So we have to be a little circumspect about how
Uh,
deeply we can do
Mr.
it.
Under
Morrison,
Section 121 of the Constitution of Belize, Mr. Morrison, it tells you exactly
Mr.
all of whom
Morrison,
those laws apply to. And if
we
a
No, I
person
have
deserves
understand, but
to go to jail,
I'm
they
saying
deserve to
that
go to jail.
cabinet. I understand that. But if you act in the cabinet in official capacity, there's some things you can get away with. That's all I'm pointing out. That it's not a clear cut thing that you can. So we need to.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes,
I
sir.
would want to believe that, but not when we have the civil assets and unexplained wealth law, which should be enforced by who? Who enforced that, Mr. Morrison?
Well, the courts does.
No,
The FIU, sir. The
exactly.
Well, yeah,
FIU
yeah,
should
yeah.
go
So
after these people.
But the FIU only works as a bulldog if the
But
man can
I'm
let her
just
loose.
stating because we know exactly why the
is the
ombudsman
FIU
was let go.
is the FIU in the Constitution, or is it just a
It's a
grouping?
it's a created animal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
It's
it's
a
not
created
in the
animal. Yeah,
Constitution
it
itself.
is there. It
It
is
is
there.
there.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that,
yeah. It
but
was
okay.
created. It was
No,
there was a
I know the function of the FIU. I know
uh,
people that works there.
it
Um,
was created under the financial under the audit and financial whatever I don't know. But anyhow,
yeah, yeah.
the powers are so um what they do when they create those organizations or entity, especially right now, any law that believes going or House of Representative passes, they do what you call like a grab tub. They grab up all different kind of terminologies that later on can be applicable for what they want the law to expand to cover. You know, they don't make the law to address a particular issue or problem. They make it like a grab tub. They put in all kind of words and phrases and things that at future dates they can turn around and use that law for unintended purposes. And the words are already there, so what they do is that they overreach and they expand. It's
Gentlemen
ours.
and people at home and abroad, we should not forget the executive overreach of this government. We
Mm-hmm.
saw what happened to the former acting chief, Justice Mr. Rana.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened in the Budnas case. And to go back to memory lane, when we and Belizean Affairs stipulated that the ombudsman can investigate the government, we saw what happened to him. And he is not the only one. Before we close, I want to go to a tape to clarify it because
Mr.
here
Chairman,
we
quickly,
show and tell.
quickly. We also saw what happened when they first came around with this BTL stuff, and we whopped them butt. Okay, and took only time off to make the breeze blow over, and then they came back sneakily, went ahead and did their thing quickly, and pretend that that authorization that they gave themselves trump the Constitution and our rights. And I
It
yield back
does
because
not.
we have further
But
discussion.
here is the tape.
When he was appointed, he invited me, to meet with him, and I gave him the same advice I'm telling you, that he has to be strong, he has to be independent. But I knew he was coming from a political background, and so I knew it would be difficult. But my first glimmer of giving him points was when he organized a conference to really look at the SOE, and we made recommendations because definitely at that point the government had not handled it in the way that it should. And I thought to myself, I wonder where this will go, because this is definitely a political man of the government. Now, I don't think that those recommendations were aired immediately. I don't know if they were aired afterwards, but definitely our recommendations were not in keeping with how it had gone. And I gave him credit for that because I didn't think he would do that. So that indicated to me that he was someone with a conscience, and he wanted to do the right thing, and so I give him credit.
And that goes to what the legislation is speaking to, because his contract was not renewed.
Well, mine either. mine was not renewed either. And so, whenever you try to do the job well, I don't think that you are the poster child for anybody.
There you go, gentlemen.
Who's that lady that was speaking?
I think her name is Miss Pitts, Emily Pitts. With that said, gentlemen,
she was the senior aide ombudsman, I think. Was that?
She has quite a legal background, so that much I can say. But I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. We have come to the end of our tonight's show, and I hope that tonight's show will leave you with something that you can really put in thoughts, and when you go to bed, wake up and think about this saga with the BTL acquisition of Smart. I want to thank those who tune in and are live, and those who will see our program when we are off the air. With that said, I want to say good night.